afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of The Outside Noise. I am your lead noisemaker, Taylor Hodges with HottyToddy.com, and we're back after a little bit of an unplanned break with this series, but we're kicking it back up now. Life stuff happens, things happen, but we're back now. It's all good. We got it all squared away, and we're here to talk a little bit about Ole Miss sports. We got baseball and some women's basketball stuff to talk about, and we may throw on some other stuff at the end. I don't know. I don't really plan this out. I just kind of, at one point in the day, I just turn on my phone and start talking to you wonderful people. So let's get into it. Okay, so first up is Ole Miss baseball. We're at the point of the season where the games actually do matter. We're about to start our second SEC series of the season for Ole Miss, and that's going to start tonight at 7 o'clock. And just for transparency's sake, it's about 2 o'clock in the afternoon on Thursday. So first pitch is about 5 hours from now. So we don't have the final lineups. We do have the pitching matchups and some pretty much really that's it about tonight's game is just the pitching matchups. But we do know kind of what each team does and kind of what they're known for, good at, and specifically for Ole Miss, what are the things that we want to see them get better at? And it's fairly obvious to most people who have watched a lot of Ole Miss baseball, and it's the situational hitting. Now, you've seen it on our website, you've seen it on some other websites, you've listened to the TV announcers talk about it. It's truly the outside noise, but the situational hitting has to improve for Ole Miss. Granted, easier said than done, obviously, but that's the crux of the issue. That was the main reason, or one of the main reasons, that Ole Miss wound up losing this series to Texas. Now, let's just go ahead and get this disclaimer out of the way right now. Texas is really, really good. So that plays a little bit of a role into it, and that's the thing you got to remember with this is that there's another team trying to get the batter out. So it's not as simple as Ole Miss just has to, what was the situation? It was Tuesday against Austin Peay in the first inning. No outs. Tristan Becerra just hit a 2-run home run. And then they get, two runners on at second and third with no outs, and then 3 straight outs to end the inning. Against Austin Peay, it wound up not costing them the game as much as it would against a better team like Texas, or even a good team like Kentucky, who's coming in this weekend with a 13-game win streak. So the Wildcats they're more like they were in 2024 than they were last year, when they kind of had more of a 500 season compared to in 2024 when they went all the way to Omaha. So they're kind of back on that Omaha track, 13 straight wins, 18-2 overall. They run the bases a lot. They're very aggressive. So Austin Foley is going to have to be really tested in his pickoff throws to second, third, hey, maybe even first. Do the behind the back kind of pickoff thing like that. So that's going to be a point of emphasis for the Rebels. Also, as another point of emphasis, is going to be this volume that needs to get turned down. Apparently, there's an ad on one of the monitors. I remember now. Yeah. So Kentucky likes to run the bases. It's going to be a big point of emphasis. But also, one thing that Ole Miss is pretty good at is the quick pickoff throw from the pitcher to first base, especially with the left-handed pitchers. And Ole Miss has 2 weekend starters who are lefties, Hunter Elliott and Will Libbert. They're going to be starting the first and third games of the series respectively. So I would look to see them be very active in trying to keep runners close to first base and try and help out or slow down the Wildcats' base running, base stealing abilities. and that will be very key. But that's not. I think more attention is going to be paid for Ole Miss when they're at the plate than when they are in the field. Every team has some errors every now and then, but overall, Ole Miss has played pretty well defensively in the field. And the pitching, the pitching staff is one of the best in the nation. I don't have the team ERA in front of me right now, but again, before the Texas series, it was, top 10 in the nation. And right now, as a team, they have posted a 3.59 ERA. I don't have the national rankings here in front of me, but I do have the SEC one. So let's just go ahead and take a quick gander at that real quick. Scroll down a little bit. Okay, so with a 3.59 ERA, that would put Ole Miss at 7th in the SEC. That seems a little bit off, but all the records are stuff. So hey, let's trust the numbers and say that that's it. That's kind of where the Ole Miss pitching staff is sitting. Thought it was a little bit higher than that, but either way, the pitching staff is good. You would like to see Hunter Elliott maybe not have a rough first inning or rough second inning, a consistent game-long kind of streak of good innings, maybe 1 or 2 hits, no runs, that type of thing. And then for Will Libbert, he's the only weekend starter to actually get charged with some losses. But he's looked pretty good as well. And then obviously you have the injury situation with Cade Townsend. We don't know at this point if he's going to pitch tomorrow being Friday. And right now he's listed as questionable in the initial availability report. So we don't really know exactly if he's going to pitch or not, and we probably won't know until tomorrow. We might find out after the game tonight, because it'll probably be asked to Coach Mike Bianco about who's going to start tomorrow. And the answer I would bet that he gives is something along the lines of, he's feeling good. He's been throwing well. It's, a day-to-day thing. We just have to see how he feels that day of the game that he would pitch. So tomorrow. So we'll keep an eye on the availability report for that tomorrow, and that will be something to look forward to. But overall, this is the Texas series was a winnable series for Ole Miss, and one could argue that they maybe should have won that series. I think the Saturday game with Cade Townsend getting hurt and leaving after only 1 inning really kind of threw Ole Miss for a loop there. And so, maybe it's not fair to say that they should have won that series, but they could have won that series. And posting a stat line of 7 for 54 with runners in scoring position in 3 games, that's not going to cut it against the SEC level of competition. So it's just something to look out for this weekend, is how do the Ole Miss batters handle situations when there's runners in scoring position, especially with 0 outs or 1 out even. 2 outs is a little, more difficult. But in those 0-1 out situations, it's going to be very important that Ole Miss actually takes advantage of those opportunities and put some runs on the board. They have the power to do it. They have 2 guys. Tristan Bissetta has 11 home runs. Judd Udemark has 10 home runs. So they can take advantage of those opportunities. They just have to, it's not even get on base. It's literally just take advantage of the situation. And again, a whole lot easier said than done. Even in MLB The Show, I struggle with, situational hitting and really just overall gameplay in the game. That's why I talk about sports and I don't play it. So that's kind of what we're looking for this weekend. It should be a good series. I'm expecting a good series, and it'll be a late night tonight for us, but that's fine. It's Thursday. There's really not much else going on. There's not like some big, massive tournament going on to distract us anyways. So, yeah. So yeah, we'll call it there. Good for the baseball, and then we'll talk a little bit about the women's basketball team in the next segment. All right, so Ole Miss women's basketball team is making its 5th straight appearance in the NCAA tournament, starting tomorrow at 2:30 against Gonzaga. Now, Ole Miss is a number 5 seed for the 2nd straight year, and Gonzaga is the number 12 seed. The Bulldogs won the West Coast Conference Championship by beating Oregon State. It would have been not this past Sunday, but the Sunday before that, so 2 weeks ago, a week and a half ago, something like that. Math. But yeah, so first off, let's acknowledge that is a great achievement. 5 straight NCAA tournaments for Ole Miss. They went to the Sweet 16 last year, and honestly, I would be surprised if they don't go make it back to the Sweet 16 this season. Now, the NCAA tournament, both men and women, is built on and grew in popularity because of upsets happening. You know, a 12 beating a 5 seed, an 11 seed beating a 6 seed, so on and so forth. There's even the one time that the 16 seed beat the 1 seed. That was, what was that? That would have been almost 10 years ago, something like that. Probably a little bit less than 10 years ago. But we all remember that. And so yeah, so an upset could happen, but I don't really foresee that happening. I think Ole Miss, with the way they were playing the last time we saw them at the SEC tournament, I mean, they really did dominate Auburn from start to finish, and they were just as dominant against Vanderbilt for 3 quarters or so, maybe a little bit like 3.5 quarters. But at the end of that game, I wouldn't say that they ran out of juice. I think Vanderbilt remembered that it's a good basketball team and kind of started playing like it. So again, I would expect Ole Miss to definitely win tomorrow's game against Gonzaga, and then the follow-up game would be against either Minnesota or Green Bay. A matchup, we'll get into once we know who wins that one, and of course, make sure Ole Miss wins their game tomorrow. On the court, for Ole Miss, I think obviously it all starts and begins with Cody McMahon. How she goes is generally how this team goes. There have been a few times this season where she has been I don't want to say not good, but the shots weren't falling. Specifically, the game that comes to mind is that Georgia game where it literally looked like Ole Miss was trying to shoot into a basket that had a cover on it. Like nothing was falling. It was one of those games where you acknowledge it, but also acknowledge that was a unique situation and probably won't happen again. Never say never, but hey, I don't expect it to happen, especially here now in the NCAA tournament, which is kind of where this team has been trying to get to and build for this moment. Cody McMahon. So obviously, like I said, starts with Cody McMahon, and then you have, and obviously you'll have Christina Walla down low and inside. And honestly, I think she might be one of the, if we were to make a list of who are the most important rebels for this NCAA tournament run, obviously you got to put Cody McMahon on there, but that one's so obvious that we could make that list and just exclude her as kind of like, hey, obviously, of course, so let's make this a little more interesting. And Christina Walla would be on that list, rebounding and defensively on the inside. She was a big impact player during the SEC tournament. And then you also have Latasha Lattimore, a shot blocking machine. I think she's going to be very important. And right up there with those two is the return of Sierra Thienu. Sierra had been out for, I think it was, 2 or 3 weeks with an injury. She missed the end of the regular season in the SEC tournament, rehabbing and recovering, getting ready for the NCAA tournament. I think Ole Miss said that she could have played towards the end of the SEC tournament, but they decided not to just, give her more time to recover and make sure that she's ready for this important stretch of the season, which, is what every basketball team has been kind of gearing up for and working towards, is this weekend. And it's true for Ole Miss as well. So those are 3 players that I would definitely think would need to play well, have good games, big games. And they'll also need some of the support players, like a Tiana Thompson or a Jayla Murray. So had to go look it up. Sorry about that. There's a lot of names and stuff that go on in this job, and it happens. Sorry, but we got it fixed. And then so I would say players like Jayla, Tiana, even a Denim DeShields or Debresha Poe, all of them will need to have maybe not an entire game of just big moments and big plays, key baskets, things like that, but they'll need small stretches of time when the Cody McMahons and Christines and Sierra and Latashas aren't playing. They need those other role players to come into the game and play well to keep the momentum going. Can it happen? Yes. I will go on record in saying that I think Ole Miss is going to go all the way to the Sweet 16. What happens then is largely going to depend on who they're matched up against. I think, don't quote me on this, that if they go to the Sweet 16, they could possibly end up facing UCLA in that Sweet 16 game next weekend, and that would be a hard game to pick Ole Miss for, just because what we've seen UCLA do this year, and also how Ole Miss has played against some of the best teams in the country. However, Ole Miss does have wins against Vanderbilt twice and an Oklahoma team that was ranked number 5 at the time. So that's 3 wins against top 5 teams. So I guess Ole Miss has shown that they can win those games, but will they? We'll see. That's why we play the games. But put me down for Ole Miss going to the Sweet 16. And I think that's going to be it. I'm watching the timer here and kind of went a little bit longer on this one than I expected. So we're going to go ahead and call it here for today. Like I said, we're bringing the series back. We got some personal life situations, stuff and everything handled and resolved. So all that's out of the way. And we'll be back kind of every Tuesday and Thursday is the tentative plan right now. And maybe some smaller videos over the weekend or during the week. Again, Taylor Hodges here for HottyToddy.com. If you have a question that you would like to ask and submit, you can leave it in the comments or just tag us on one of the social media platforms. I'll see it or someone will see it and they'll get it to me. Happy to answer it. And if you ask a question, it's probably going to get answered just because it needs some fun content on here. But yeah, so that's going to do it for today. Again, Ole Miss baseball at 7 o'clock tonight. If you haven't seen it, that's 7 o'clock Thursday night. And then they play again tomorrow, Friday night at 6, Saturday at 1:30. And then the women's basketball team is playing at 2:30 p.m. tomorrow. And that game will be on ESPN2. So that's your kind of viewing schedule for the next 2 days. And I hope everybody has a good rest of their day. Enjoy your weekend. Be safe. Don't do anything I wouldn't do. And I will see y'all next time.